What if your biggest life decisions, the really important ones, are subtly steered by forces you don't even see? To kick off today's deep dive, I have a quick thought experiment for you. Picture two identical rectangular tables in front of you, Table A and Table B. Now, just by looking, which one appears larger? Most people, and yeah, myself included when I first saw this, you instantly pick Table A. You say it looks wider, maybe longer. But here's the fascinating twist. Both tables are exactly the same size. It's a classic optical illusion, kind of like the famous Muller-Lyer illusion, where lines look different lengths just because of the arrowheads. Our eyes play tricks on us, even when we sort of know they shouldn't. And the simple trick of the eye, well, it opens the door to understanding something really profound about human decision-making. Today we're diving deep into the hidden power of nudges. We're drawing crucial insights from the power of nudges, guiding better decisions, and of course the foundational work that really started it all. Nudge by Richard Thaler and Cass Sunstein. Our mission, to uncover why we're not always as rational as we think we are, and more importantly, how understanding these invisible influences can lead to, well, profound self-awareness, more intentional living, and ultimately better choices. Not just for ourselves, but maybe for society as a whole.
It's truly fascinating, isn't it? How seemingly small design choices, things we barely notice, can have these massive, often unconscious impacts on our lives, on the world around us, really.
Yeah, massive.
At its core, the idea behind nudges is that they are gentle interventions. They're designed to steer people toward better decisions, but without forcing them. It's a powerful and I think remarkably compassionate alternative to just heavy-handed rules or mandates.
Compassion, I like that framing.
And there's a central paradox here, In an era where we rightly champion free markets and individual choice, understanding our inherent human biases, the quirks in our thinking, is actually the key to true freedom and intentionality in decision-making.
How so?
Well, it's about empowering us to live more aligned with our deepest values, rather than just being pushed around by defaults or our own mental shortcuts without realizing it.
That's such a compelling point. It immediately challenges this fundamental assumption we often make about ourselves, doesn't it? Yeah. Are we truly rational decision makers, like perfect computers, or that Homo economicus from economic theory?
Right, that perfectly logical, self-interested being who always weighs all options and makes the optimal choice.
Yeah, exactly. That table illusion we started with, and our instant reaction to it, it just hints at the truth. We rely on quick, instinctive judgments way more than pure cold logic.
And this is precisely what the sources call the human problem. It's something they really dig into. Many of you might know this already, but humans are driven by two distinct systems of thinking.
Right, the two systems.
There's system one, that's automatic, instinctive, effortless. Think about feeling that sudden jolt of fear when a plane hits turbulence. Bang, that's system one. Fast, intuitive.
Okay.
Then there's system two. This one is slow, deliberate, effortful, like actually calculating the odds of a plane crash, which are, astronomically low compared to, say, driving your car.
It's lower, yeah.
So if we connect this to the bigger picture, understanding these two systems is just crucial. Crucial for understanding ourselves and how we navigate the complex decisions that truly shape our lives. We're not like AI, not even close. We can't process decisions with that cold precision of Homo economicus.
No, we're definitely messier than that.
We're human, and we often default to system one.
And it's remarkable how often our quick, intuitive system one takes over, even when it maybe leads us astray. Like, take how we approach something seemingly minor, maybe buying dog food, versus a huge life decision like a retirement plan.
Mm-hmm.
You might spend days, literally days, researching dog food ingredients, checking reviews, making sure it's absolutely perfect for your pet.
Sure, I can see that.
Yet when it comes to signing up for a life-changing retirement plan or, say, investing in stocks, many of us just skim the terms, check, I agree, and sign, often with very little deliberate thought.
It happens all the time.
We often rely on System 1's quick instincts for these massive high-stakes choices, while we completely overthink the minor ones. And like you said, it's not about being unintelligent. It's just how our brains seem to be wired.
Precisely.
So how easily does your System 1 jump to conclusions? Let's try another quick thought experiment. This one really highlights it. Okay. A baseball bat and ball cost $11 total. The bat cost $10 more than the ball. How much is the ball?
The classic one.
Yeah. Most of us, instantly, our brain shouts $1.
Yep, that's the immediate intuitive answer.
But the true answer, if you engage your system 2, slow down and do the math, it's 0.50 cents. Because if the ball is 50 cents, the bat is $10.50. That's $10 more. And together they cost $11.
Totally.
That quick intuitive jump to $1, that's pure system one at work. And it's just one of many common cognitive shortcuts, these biases, that shape our lives in ways we might not even realize.
And because we humans often lean so heavily on System 1, making these seemingly irrational choices sometimes, this is precisely why nudges become so essential.
Right, they're those gentle pushes designed to guide us toward better decisions, importantly, without coercion. So let's explore 5 key reasons why these nudges are so vital. Maybe look at some powerful real-world examples.
Absolutely. The first reason nudges are essential is down to default settings and anchoring. This really highlights how the way choices are presented, how they're set up, profoundly shapes our decisions.
Okay, the setup matters.
Hugely. And also how initial numbers, what they call anchors, can powerfully influence our perception of value.
Anchors, right, like the first price you see.
Exactly. Consider how this plays out. If you're on a donation website, maybe the options are $10, $20, or $50. People often gravitate towards the middle, maybe $20.
Makes sense.
But if you change those options to $100, $300, or $500, donations often increase significantly because that higher anchor just shifts expectations of what's normal or appropriate.
Interesting.
And defaults. Defaults matter even more profoundly. Studies show that automatically enrolling employees in retirement plans, that's an opt-out system where you have to actively choose not to participate.
Instead of opting in.
Right. That simple change increases participation rates by a stunning 30%. 30%.
Wow, that's huge.
It is. And think about organ donation in Europe. Countries with opt-out policies like Austria or Belgium, they have donation rates above 90%.
90.
Compare that to just 15% in opt-in countries like the U.S. And this isn't just about statistics, is it? It's about saving thousands of lives. It offers such a profound lesson in how society can be structured to support well-being, maybe even a more meaningful existence for everyone involved.
Yeah, it really speaks to how much our environment dictates our free will, often without us even realizing it. Okay, so the second key reason for nudges relates to the availability heuristic. Can you unpack that one?
Sure. This bias basically means people tend to fear what's vivid and memorable, what easily comes to mind, not necessarily what's statistically most likely to harm them.
Okay, so the dramatic stuff sticks.
Exactly. Ask most people. Which is scarier, a nuclear war, a shark attack, or a car accident?
Probably nuclear war or sharks for most.
Right, because they're dramatic, terrifying, they make headlines, they stick in our minds. Yet, statistically, car accidents kill far, far more people, about 1.3 million globally each year.
That's a staggering number.
It is. And this bias, the availability heuristic, it misleads us. It causes us to misallocate resources. We might spend billions on airport security to prevent incredibly rare terrorist attacks.
Which are very vivid when they happen.
Extremely vivid. But we often underfund crucial things like mental health services, even though suicides claim over 700,000 lives annually worldwide.
Wow.
So this bias really shows us where our attention and our resources are often misdirected. It prompts us, or it should prompt us, to consider what truly matters for human well-being and how nudges might help us reprioritize our focus. Maybe live more intentionally based on actual risk, not just perceived fear.
It's a really stark reminder of how perception can warp reality and where we put our energy. Okay, reason number 3 involves the representativeness heuristic. This sounds a bit complex.
It sounds technical, but the idea is quite intuitive. It's where our brains are basically wired to see patterns and connections, even when none actually exist. It can lead us to superstitions or maybe flawed investments.
Seeing patterns where there's just randomness.
Pretty much. A powerful example from the sources is during World War II. Londoners were convinced German bombs targeted specific areas, like near the Thames River, because the explosions seemed clustered there.
Okay, they saw a pattern.
But when military analysts scientifically mapped the bomb sites, the pattern was completely random. It was just chance distribution. Our brains have this remarkable but sometimes misleading tendency to invent patterns, like seeing a face in a cloud or believing in a hot hand in basketball when it's really just statistical fluctuation.
Right, the hot hand fallacy.
Exactly. And this bias can mislead us into making bad decisions, like investing heavily in a stock just because it feels like a winner based on a very short-term trend when there's no underlying logic or real data supporting it.
Gut feeling over evidence.
Precisely. It challenges us to question those gut feelings, to seek actual evidence, and that's a crucial step, I think, toward more reason, and ultimately more fulfilling living, making choices based on reality, not just perceived patterns.
That makes incredible sense. We're always looking for meaning, aren't we? Sometimes even where it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Okay, the fourth reason is a really powerful one. Loss aversion.
Ah, yes, this one's fundamental. It basically means humans hate losses far more intensely than they enjoy equivalent gains. The psychological pain of losing something is often estimated to be about twice as strong as the pleasure of gaining something of equal value.
Twice as strong. Wow.
Yeah, think about it. If you were to lose $10, how much would you need to win back to feel, emotionally balanced about it?
Probably more than $10. Maybe $20.
Exactly. Most people say $20 or even more, because that loss just stings so much more than an equivalent gain excites us.
So how does that affect decisions?
Well, it's why, even when it seems illogical, people often stick to bad investments. They hold on just to avoid realizing a loss on paper, even when cutting their losses and reinvesting elsewhere would be the financially smarter move.
The pain of admitting the loss is too great.
Right. Or maybe on a smaller scale, it's why you might still have that old phone that works just fine instead of upgrading, even though a new one would offer clear benefits. There's a perceived loss or hassle in making the switch.
Yeah, I can relate to that.
Understanding this helps us overcome that psychological barrier to change. It allows us to embrace beneficial decisions, even if they involve a perceived initial loss or discomfort. It's about gently guiding ourselves past that initial psychological hurdle towards a more meaningful outcome in the long run.
Gently guiding ourselves past the sting. Okay, and finally, the fifth reason nudges are essential is the status quo bias.
Yes, our old friend inertia. This is our inherent resistance to change. Our deep, deep tendency to just stick with what's familiar and habitual, even when clearly better options are available.
We like what we know.
We really do. It's a very human trait, and it affects us constantly. Think about it. In schools, students often sit in the same seats every single day, even when there's no assigned seating.
That's true.
In our lives, we might keep using old phone plans that are way too expensive, or stick with jobs we've clearly outgrown, just out of sheer habit. Inertia takes over.
Even when better, more fulfilling alternatives are out there.
Exactly. This bias reveals our deep-seated tendency for just sticking with the default, the path of least resistance. So nudges, like maybe making energy-efficient options the default choice when you buy appliances.
So you have to actively choose the less efficient one.
Right. These kinds of nudges can gently guide us toward healthier, more sustainable, and ultimately maybe more enriching choices without forcing drastic shifts. They empower personal growth and the collective good by making the intentional path the better path, also the easiest path.
It's incredible how these subtle insights aren't just theoretical concepts locked away in books. They're actually being applied right now to make tangible, positive impacts in the real world. Let's maybe look at some powerful examples of these nudges in action, shaping a better future.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay, take environmental impact. In California, some utility companies started sending out energy reports. These reports compared households' energy use to their neighbors.
Ah, the social comparison nudge.
Exactly. Initially, if you were a high user, you'd see like a red frowny face on your report. The idea was to prompt you to cut back.
Makes sense. Shame them a little.
Kinda. But a fascinating thing happened. Low users, the energy savers who got a green smiley face, sometimes started using more energy afterwards. It was like they thought, I'm good enough, I can relax a bit.
Oh, the boomerang effect.
Sorry.
Precisely. So the companies had to refine the nudge. They tweaked it so only the most efficient users got the smiley faces, encouraging sustained conservation among the best while still nudging the higher users. And that subtle change alone, that refined nudge, reduced energy use by 4% across whole communities.
That's significant when scaled up.
Absolutely. It's a real testament to how small changes, when they're deeply understood and well-designed, can lead to collective environmental consciousness, real change.
And these insights aren't just for energy, they're being applied to public health too. Think about New York City. Since 2008, fast food chains there have been required to display calorie counts right on the menus.
Yeah, I remember when that came in.
It seems like a small thing, right? Just information. But that seemingly subtle nudge reduced the average calories consumed per meal by about 6%, according to a 2011 study.
6% per meal. That adds up.
It really does. It's a gentle push towards healthier eating, crucially, without banning choices. It just allows individuals to make more informed decisions about their own well-being. Empowering choice through information.
Exactly. And it's not just cities doing this. Businesses are catching on too. Google's cafeterias, for example, they famously experimented with their layout. They strategically placed salads and healthy options at eye level right at the start of the line.
And the less healthy stuff.
The candy, the sugary drinks, they put those in opaque containers, maybe a bit harder to reach. This simple design nudge increased vegetable consumption by a remarkable 20% among their employees.
20% just by moving the salad bar.
Pretty much. It just shows how much our immediate environment truly shapes our choices, often completely without us realizing it. What's easy and visible gets chosen.
That's a perfect illustration, really, of how effective these subtle shifts can be.
Exactly. And this is the key point. These aren't just about minor behavioral tweaks, like eating one less cookie. They are fundamentally about designing systems in our workplaces, our communities, even our own homes that subtly support our long-term well-being and the collective good. They guide us toward living more intentionally.
Designing for our better selves.
Precisely. When the book Nudge came out back in 2008, this was pretty groundbreaking stuff. Today, nudges are practically everywhere. They're in the default settings on your phone, the pop-up health reminders on your fitness apps, the way websites ask for consent.
They've become part of the fabric.
They really have. By truly understanding our human quirks, our biases, these predictable ways we deviate from pure rationality, we can design systems both for ourselves and for society that guide us towards better choices. We can help create a more sustainable, more equitable, maybe even a wiser world. It's a powerful form of proactive, compassionate design for life itself.
So, after all this, what does it really mean for you, listening right now? We've explored how understanding our seemingly irrational human tendencies from, optical illusions, tricking our eyes right through to the complex decision-making biases that influence our daily lives. How this understanding can be an incredibly powerful tool. A tool for personal growth, for self-awareness, and for improving society. The value of nudges, really, at its core, is that they aren't about coercion. They're not about taking away your freedom to choose. It's about gentle guidance. It's about helping us align our actions with our deeper, better intentions, helping us live a more meaningful life, the life we actually want to live.
And knowing how our minds work, understanding how susceptible we are to these various influences, it isn't a limitation. I really think it's an incredible opportunity, an opportunity for profound personal insight.
An opportunity? How?
Well, it allows us to become more conscious choosers, to take the reins, to actively design our own lives and our environments in ways that support our best selves, not hinder them, and maybe, just maybe, to contribute to a world where beneficial, life-affirming choices are easier for everyone, not just the vigilant few.
Becoming architects of our own choices.
Exactly. So maybe consider this for a moment. If the world around you is constantly, subtly nudging your choices every single day, how can you consciously design your own life? Your habits, your home, your digital spaces, how can you design your environment to nudge yourself towards the future you truly want? It's a path, I believe, to a more deliberate, a more aware, and ultimately a more fulfilling existence. An ongoing journey of self-discovery, really, powered by understanding ourselves a little bit better.